here with Negozee, and we have another great conversation. I have with me our friend and colleague Gilbert Mercado from Money Concepts. Gilbert,
Hello, everybody. Good to see you.
love it. And today's charla is gonna be in English. In English, we're known Negozee known para español, pero today's charla is going to be about myths that we see in the Hispanic community regarding the stock market or asset or acquiring assets or Wall Street or just in general wealth building. You see this a lot, Gilbert,
Yes.
because as a financial advisor, enrolled agent, many years as a in the industry, you work a lot with Hispanics.
Yes, absolutely. 90% of my client base is Hispanic, and the reality of it is that I see and hear so many things that make me cringe when I think about building wealth. The myths, the things that people listen to. I had a client one time who I recommended do an investment, and we spoke about it. It was suitable for them. It was a great opportunity for them. And at the end of the day, the client comes back and I said, "Are you ready to move forward?" And he says, "No, I'm not."
Oh,
And I said, "Well, why not? Why would you not do this?" And he says, "Well, my uncle told me not to." And I said, okay, so is your uncle a wealth manager? Is he a financial advisor? Is he a banker? Does he know about finances? And he says, no, he's none of those things. I mean, he stays at home, he doesn't work, but he recommended I not weird.
oh, because they don't understand it.
That's right. And so, that to me was like an aha moment. Our people need help. Our community, our Hispanic community needs all the help to understand all the things that they can do financially. We've heard all the myth, where do you keep your money? You keep it under your mattress. We don't want to keep money under the mattress. There's other places we can do other things with our finances, and we're not doing it. We are a growing population in the community, right? We're a growing population in the US, yet financially speaking, we're not growing.
Yeah, the latest census have the Latino population in the US at 60 million individuals that are Latinos in this country. And I've noticed this too with my parents or my uncles or my family members, because they seem, well, this is true, right? If you have the money in your hand, it's the money's there.
That's right.
And so even though it may not be the best option to keep it under your mattress, but at least, what do you argue, is the lowest risk option? Not really, because what if somebody breaks in?
That's right.
Oh,
That's right. So that's always something, right? I'd rather keep my money under the mattress. Well, yeah, that may be true, but you're still losing money. And, well, how am I losing money? Well, if your money's not keeping up with inflation, you're losing money. You didn't see it, but you still lost money.
Yes.
And so,
yes.
those are things that our community really needs to understand. I remember growing up as a kid, a bag of chips was 25 cents and it was full of chips, right? Today, you buy a bag of chips, it costs you $2 and it's full of air.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where, that's where we need to really kind of grow and develop. The more education we put out there, the more information we put out there about finances, the better it's going to be for our community.
Yeah. Do you also think, because I know not a lot, but some Hispanics happen to be also immigrants,
Sure.
and they come from countries that may not have the best financial system or structure, at least compared to the US, obviously. And then is that word that they have? It's like, oh, back in my country,
Absolutely.
the currency collapsed, or the banks didn't give me access to my money, so now they bring that with them to the US. Oh.
Sure, yeah. And I'll give you an example. I live in a community that's predominantly Mexican nationals, right? Folks that came from Mexico, Mexican immigrants. And, the reality of it is that the mentality in Mexico with regards to how you manage your money and how you do it here is completely different. In Mexico, you want to pay off all your debt. You don't want to have debt, right?
Okay.
You want to use your cash to pay off debt and you be debt free. Here in the US, sometimes it makes sense to hold debt.
Yeah.
Sometimes it makes sense to have business debt, right? And so when I have a client who's trying to use up all his cash for that purpose, I might educate him otherwise and say, hey, wait a second, that loan is a write-off.
Right.
That opportunity, you won't want to use up all your cash. Build up some cash reserves because you might need that, but you might get a credit if you do this.
Okay.
You
Yes.
see what I mean?
Yeah.
So those are things that we want to educate them on.
And what's nice about working with you, Gilbert, is that you see both sides, not just the
Sure.
financial side, but the tax side.
Yeah.
And let's jump into that a bit here. So for those that are listening, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments real quick. But what type of credits or deductions exists for certain investment vehicles? I guess that's a big question because there's IRS, there's 401ks, there's a bunch of deductions.
Yeah, so there's all sorts of different things that you can participate in. First example is real easy, right? If you contribute to your IRA, it's going to give you an opportunity to reduce your taxable income, right? And so by doing so, you're saving tax dollars today, right? By the same token, if you participate in an IRA and you're saving money for retirement, and your income levels meet certain thresholds, then you might qualify for the tax savers credit, right? So that gives you an additional incentive up to $500 that you can take a deduction for.
Yeah.
Right. So those are all things that we want to educate our community on, right? It's sometimes easier to save money than you think, because there's a credit or there's a backstory that will help you to save more of that money, right? We just need to find it. We just need to educate them on it.
Yeah, and I often like to understand it's called behavioral economics, how humans, like a lot of economists have these models, but a lot of these models are based on this perfect world, but humans could be irrational at times.
Sure.
And so when you tell somebody you should be eating healthy, you should be eating healthy, or you should be saving, they're like, no, pero tengo que hacer esto, lo demás. And so one of the things I've been noticing regarding, so because of that, when there's a news piece, people start reacting to it. So a recent example, been seeing a lot in the news regarding inflation is coming up and it's going high, and you got to do something, start panicking. So what's going on? Do you know? I'm sure you keep up with like this whole news cycle about the coming inflation.
So I'll tell you, the worst thing we can do is react to the news media, right? Because of course, the news media sells what? They sell, the sky is falling, everything is falling apart, and makes you want to run out and go do things. But if we want to combat inflation, it's real simple. Don't put all your money in the savings account. Invest for the long term, right? Try to get a return on your money that's going to be higher than what inflation can possibly be, and it'll help your money to keep up with inflation, right? But we're so afraid of the stock market. We're so afraid of investment vehicles. We're so afraid of all these things that, sometimes we're not doing the wisest thing with our money, right? And so I try to tell folks, listen, the stock market is just a tool. If you put money into it and you check it day to day, you're likely to lose value. But that doesn't mean that long term you're going to lose. Long term, in fact, likelihood is that you're going to win. And that's something that we need to educate our folks on. I like to draw something out for folks when I'm explaining the stock market. It's kind of hard to do that here, but somewhere in the future, I'll try to draw that out for you, because it really does show how the market works. And I think it really puts people at ease when they understand that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of options, because I know, even I'm learning still, but I know there's like bonds, and other do you call them instruments? So, that exist that are mutual funds, and so a lot of it has to do with your age as you're investing, but does it have to do with like risk ratio or risk and return usually?
So that's something that's part of what I pride myself on, right? And all of my clients, we want to take into account what their risk tolerance is.
That's
want
the
them
risk
to understand,
tolerance, right?
If you're a short-term investor versus a long-term investor, how can you withstand the ups and downs of the market, right? And then we decide the investment vehicles. But I'll give you an example. I would not invest for Tony, not knowing much else about you. I know that you're young, you've got some time on your side, you're not retiring tomorrow, right? So I would not invest your money the same way I would invest it for someone who's maybe 65 or 70 years old, who I know may need the money sooner, right? We want to take that into account, right? And what I hear too often in our community is, be safe. Well, safe doesn't get you to where you need to be financially.
I see. Interesting.
So it's contradictory sometimes, right? Being safe can actually be the cause of you not being where you need to be financially.
Yeah.
So again, we need to look at those and kind of consider each case.
Yeah. You know what? I feel like a lot of stuff with like investing, it's very psychological and like
Sure,
how
it's
people
all
think,
emotional.
yeah, because it's like because money or resources is like survival, right? I'm thinking like back to our ancestors or like years, centuries ago. It's like if you don't have resources, you can't eat, you can't survive. So it becomes very important. You got to take care of your family, care for your family. And so at times I've heard young people say, I'm just gonna hustle and be a millionaire. I don't have to invest. Why am I gonna put money in some CD or some stock market? I'd rather just throw it into this new venture and hustle and just make millions. But what do you say to that when
Well,
people like? Because when you're younger, you have like, oh, the world is mine.
Right. Well, we have those extremes, right?
Yeah.
We're either thinking we're going to become super rich, or we're thinking, oh, we're going to become super poor. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
what we don't want to do is go with either one of those. Listen, entrepreneurial spirit, I applaud that. Let's build that business and let's grow it. But if you put all your eggs into that business, you're making the same mistake as if you had put nothing into anything else. You know, I mean, you really do have to put money into other baskets. And so
Yeah.
that's something we want to do.
Because that's the idea. It's diversification. Is that the term?
Diversification, absolutely. You know, so I have a business. I have multiple businesses. But by the same token, I still put away money into my retirement. I put money away into my savings. I put money away into all these different things, right? So that we can accomplish our complete financial goal.
Yeah.
Right. If I just depend on one business, the likelihood is I'm not going to be able to do anything.
That makes sense. That makes sense. We're live right now, by the way, everybody.
Awesome.
In Phoenix. We're live in Phoenix. And you're here at this event. You've been meeting some people.
Yeah.
You have a class tomorrow.
I do.
Here, tell us a little bit about the class you have tomorrow.
So we're going to present some information on retirement plans for small businesses, right? We want folks to understand, you know, what options they have. And we're going to talk about all the different investment vehicles. And we're going to talk about specifically what not to be afraid of in the stock market. Right?
Oh,
so that's going to be really a key point that I want to make tomorrow.
Yeah, and what's nice is a lot of people here, it's in Espanol, Latinos, and we now let's go full circle. We started the conversation with that. It's in the Hispanic community. It's like, oh, no sé, you know, but to combat kind of the unknown is, you were saying education.
Education. Yeah, education. The more we get educated, the more we educate ourselves, the more we participate in platforms such as this, negozee, and, you know, Tax Pro Connections and all these different things that are really educating us, that's what's going to take us forward. That's what we need to do, you know, and I promote that and I believe in that wholeheartedly. I can't stress that enough. So the more we educate, the more we give to our communities and inform our communities, those of us that do know, we can help everybody come out.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much, Gilbert Mercado with Money Concepts and Vivo from Phoenix, Arizona. And we'll see you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Saludos. Bye.